From Christmas to yesterday, Bitcoin has already dropped from $52,000 all the way down to just a smidge under $40,000. Nevertheless, there is some light at the end of this tunnel already visible at the moment. Let's have a look at some of the signs of this dark tunnel coming to the end. The first sign is that Bitcoin seems to be bouncing from this support zone that's around $40,000 to $42,000. We've seen this support zone respected multiple times all the way through 2021. We saw that in early 2021, we saw that in June, and again in late July 2021, as well as September, and even early December last year. So we see at least 5, perhaps even 6 with this late May top in that support resistance zone as well. So all through 2021, this support resistance has been respected multiple times. And it's likely that Bitcoin is going to give us at least a short-term bounce from that area. Talking about a short-term bounce and an ongoing cycle, as I mentioned to the members at myfinancesteacher.org on the 6th of January, perhaps the ongoing Bitcoin cycle will be a bit of a sideways cycle, maybe a scenario similar to this cycle in mid-2020. Usually, in my experience, after significant moves, we see a bit of a sideways cycle before another strong trend can be established. As I mentioned in some of my really older videos, just like with price cycles, volatility also comes in cycles. Periods of high volatility are replaced with periods of low volatility and vice versa. So similar to what we saw in mid-2021, perhaps the ongoing cycle might give us a bit of a bounce out of this support zone, maybe up into the middle of the Bollinger Bands. That's where the bounces usually tend to revert to after a significant drop, and perhaps a continuation of the ongoing cycle sometime closer into the end of January, early February. That would give us a usual cycle duration of nearly a couple of months. That would actually be, again, close enough to what happened in mid-2021. A swoosh down in the previous cycle, a bit of a bounce, and another scary drop. That's where we at the moment. I do expect a bit of a bounce into the middle of the Bollinger Bands and another decline into the cycle end. Looking at the 14-day RSI, we don't see a positive divergence yet, but 14-day RSI is already at the lowest level it has been since May last year, where we saw this significant dip all the way down to around $30,000. So since that really scary drop down to $30,000, the 14-day RSI right now is at the lowest levels since May last year. Meaning that Bitcoin is pretty oversold, and a bounce, at least a short-term mean reversion bounce, is quite likely. One thing I want to mention here is that, remember, nobody does know the future, and for all I know, we might actually see this head and shoulders formation bringing Bitcoin even more into the oversold area, down to a really scary levels where the crypto fear and greed index would be beneath the floor level. By the way, looking at the crypto fear and greed index, it was extremely low at just 10 on the 8th of January. And even back in the middle of last year, with that scary drop down to $30,000 on Bitcoin, this crypto fear and greed index didn't actually drop below 10. So yes, the blood is on the streets. The streets are actually drenched in blood right now. And some purchasing around these levels wouldn't actually be a bad idea. I did add to my positions, as I mentioned over here, on the 6th of January. I've also talked about Ethereum, mentioning that perhaps Ethereum might form some sort of a bottom near the round number of $3,000. And it looks like Ethereum is bouncing a little bit from that $3,000 right now. But talking about buying this dip being a relatively good idea, we see a lot of large market participants are actually doing exactly that. Also around the early January, when I published that post at myfinancesteacher.org. Perhaps Binance and the third largest whale in Bitcoin do agree with my opinion. We see Binance buying 43,000 Bitcoins around the price of $46,500, which is similar to where the third largest whale in Bitcoin bought the dip as well. To continue with another indicator which is also showing positive signs, that's a market depth ratio on Bitcoin. We see that when price shows a bit of a dip over here, We see market depth ratio into green. That means the buy orders exceed the sell orders on a range of crypto markets. That means buy pressure is there, later on leading to an increase in price. Whenever we see these sort of significant dips in Bitcoin price, we do see buy pressure with these sort of, let's call them green mountains. Of course, sometimes this buy pressure is a leading indicator, meaning that price pump comes a little bit after this buy pressure appears, as in mid-2021, for example. We see a lot of buy pressure, of course, as Bitcoin drops from $60,000 to $30,000, but a recovery takes a bit of time as the cycle completes and a new cycle rally takes place. Again, same buy pressure with green mountains in September last year, followed by another push higher in Bitcoin price. And currently we see significantly high buy pressure on a range of crypto markets, which again I think is going to lead to substantially higher prices over the next several months. And to reiterate, in the shorter term, perhaps we're only going to see a bit of a relief rally and a continuation of the cycle into its cycle low before the new cycle rally takes place. And lastly, looking at Optimism index in Bitcoin, we see that it's again down to extreme pessimism, similar to what we saw in early December last year with the previous cycle low. The 10-day moving average of the Optimism index is at its lowest level again since May last year. But again, that's when Bitcoin price dropped all the way down to $30,000. Again, this also shows that there is a lot of blood on the streets. And while things are somewhat painful right now, some sort of a bounce is right around the corner. But after a relief rally, perhaps we want to decline for another couple of weeks into the cycle low. And lastly, zooming into the 1-hour chart, once we finally have a breakout from somewhere around $42,600, and if we do hold that breakout, that's perhaps going to be the beginning of that relief rally back into the middle of the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart. That's perhaps somewhere into $46,000 or higher. You might also notice that death cross is quite likely over the next couple of weeks. And I often get questions about death cross, but to be honest, I don't usually pay much attention to that. There are a lot of examples of death cross being actually followed by relatively significant rallies, as in late 2021. So that is my opinion. Next, let me know what do you think in the comments below. Is the Bitcoin price around $46,000 more likely by next week, or are we going to see somewhere around $30,000 instead? Let me know what you think in the comments below and have a nice day.